Issues can be solved, the president told Medvedev, but he stressed that it was particularly important for incoming Russian President Vladimir Putin to give him space on the missile defense system, which the U.S. and NATO want to install in Europe.
This is my last election for you. Yeah. And after my election, I have more flexibility. Yeah.
I understand. I transmit this information to Vladimir and understand.
Keep your plan if you are satisfied with it. If you like the plan you have, you can keep it. If you like your plan and you like your doctor, you won't have to do a thing. You keep your plan. If you like your health care plan, you'll be able to keep your health care plan. If you've got health insurance, you can keep it. If you like your health care plan, you will keep your plan. If you've got health insurance, you like your doctor, you like your plan, you can keep your doctor, you can keep your plan. If you have insurance that you like, then you will be able to keep that insurance. The Affordable Care Act, Obamacare, has now been with us for 3 years. It's gone through Supreme Court tests. It's gone through efforts to repeal. A huge chunk of it's already been implemented. And for the 85 to 90% of Americans who already have health insurance, they're already experiencing most of the benefits of the Affordable Care Act, even if they don't know it. Yeah, their insurance is more secure. Insurance companies can't drop them for bad reasons. Their kids are able to stay on their health insurance until they're 26 years old. They're getting free preventive care. So there are a whole host of benefits that for the average American out there, for the 85 to 90% of Americans who already have health insurance, this thing's already happened. And their only impact is that their insurance is stronger, better, more secure than it was before.
Realize everything we stand for is at stake. All the progress we've made is at stake in this election. My name may not be on the ballot, but our progress is on the ballot. Tolerance is on the ballot. Democracy is on the ballot. Justice is on the ballot. Good schools are on the ballot. Ending mass incarceration, that's on the ballot right now. And there is one candidate who will advance those things. And there is another candidate whose defining principle, the central theme of his candidacy, is opposition to all that we've done. There's no such thing as a vote that doesn't matter. It all matters. And after we have achieved historic turnout in 2008 and 2012, especially in the African American community, I will consider it a personal insult, an insult to my legacy, if this community lets down its guard and fails to activate itself in this election. You want to give me a good send-off? Go vote!
It was a match made in military heaven. Two West Point grads who met while stationed in Germany, both captains. Where better to marry than at their latest posting on the 16th tee of their base's golf course with sweeping views of the Pacific, especially since the groom is an avid golfer.
Once I felt like the details were pretty set, then I got excited.
But just 24 hours before the I do's, a call saying you can't. President Obama planned a golf outing at the same time, and the nuptials would have to be moved.
We knew there were two things that could mess up the wedding, and one was weather, and the other was the president.
The couple had, in fact, invited the president to their wedding, tongue-in-cheek, and got a polite regrets. The White House says no one, including their advance team in Hawaii, knew the wedding would have to relocate. And from the phone call the president made to the surprised couple, neither did he. This isn't the first time the president's golf games have stoked controversy, though.
Where are his priorities?
The president admitted he made a mistake back in August when he hit the links right after making a statement about the beheading of American James Foley by ISIS.
I should have anticipated the optics.
And critics pounced when he was on the course in Martha's Vineyard while sending his attorney general to Ferguson, Missouri after riots and protests. He's killing us. Agent, sit down. Agent, sit down.
Although most of us do our best to guard against it and teach our children better, none of us is entirely innocent. No institution is entirely immune. And that includes our police departments. We know this. And so when African Americans from all walks of life, from different communities across the country, voice a growing despair over what they perceive to be unequal treatment, when study after study shows that whites and people of color experience the criminal justice system differently, so that if you're black, you're more likely to be pulled over or searched or arrested, more likely to get longer sentences, more likely to get the death penalty for the same crime. When mothers and fathers raise their kids right and have the talk about how to respond if stopped by a police officer, yes, sir, no, sir, but still fear that something terrible may happen when their child walks out the door. Now let's make two things clear. ISIL is not Islamic. No religion condones the killing of innocents, and the vast majority of ISIL's victims have been Muslim. And ISIL is certainly not a state. It was formerly al-Qaeda's affiliate in Iraq and has taken advantage of sectarian strife and Syria's civil war to gain territory on both sides of the Iraq-Syrian border. It is recognized by no government, nor by the people it subjugates. ISIL is a terrorist organization, pure and simple, and it has no vision other than the slaughter of all who stand in its way. The main contribution of some of my friends on the other side of the aisle have made in the fight against ISIL is to criticize this administration and me for not using the phrase radical Islam. That's the key, they tell us. We can't beat ISIL unless we call them radical Islamists. What exactly would using this label accomplish? What exactly would it change? Would it make ISIL less committed to trying to kill Americans? Would it bring in more allies? Is there a military strategy that is served by this? The answer is none of the above. Calling a threat by a different name does not make it go away. This is a political distraction. Since before I was president, I've been clear about how extremist groups have perverted Islam to justify terrorism. As president, I have repeatedly called on our Muslim friends and allies at home and around the world to work with us to reject this twisted interpretation of one of the world's great religions.
Is if we turn against each other based on divisions of race or religion, if we fall for, you know, a bunch of okey doke, just because it sounds funny or the tweets are provocative, then we're not going to build on the progress that we've started. If we get cynical and just vote our fears, or if we don't vote at all, we won't build on the progress.
Just wonderful to be back in Oregon, and over the last 15 months we've traveled to every corner of the United States. I've now been in 57 states, I think one left to go. Alaska and Hawaii I was not allowed to go to, even though I really wanted to visit, but my staff would not justify it. Next year, Iran will not get its hands on a nuclear bomb. The region the United States and the world will be more secure. As I've said many times, the nuclear deal was never intended to resolve all of our differences with Iran, but still, engaging directly with the Iranian government on a sustained basis for the first time in decades has created a unique opportunity, a window, to try to resolve important issues. Of course, even as we implement the nuclear deal and welcome our Americans home, we recognize that there remain profound differences between the United States and Iran. We remain steadfast in opposing Iran's destabilizing behavior elsewhere, including its threats against Israel and our Gulf partners, and its support for violent proxies in places like Syria and Yemen.
And second, on Fast and Furious, members of Congress and the government of Mexico are still waiting for answers. Are you planning to replace ATF leadership, and when can we expect the results of the current investigation?
On the second question, as you know, my Attorney General has made clear that he certainly would not have ordered gun running to be able to pass through into Mexico. The investigation is still pending. I'm not going to comment on a current investigation. I've made very clear my views that that would not be an appropriate step by the ATF, and we got to find out how that happened. And at the time, we explained that Iran had pressed a claim before an international tribunal about them recovering money of theirs that we had frozen, that as a consequence of its working its way through the international tribunal, it was the assessment of our lawyers that we were now at a point where there was significant litigation risk and we could end up costing ourselves billions of dollars. It was their advice and suggestion that we settle. And that's what these payments represent. And it wasn't a secret. We were completely open with everybody about it, and it's interesting to me how suddenly this became a story again. That's point number one. Point number two, we do not pay ransom for hostages. It's complicated. Think about this speech. It's been pretty long, and you're thinking, wow, I just want to take a picture with the president or something. So it's hard to get people focused on the facts. And even reporters who cover this stuff, and they do a good job, they're trying to follow all the debate, but a lot of times they just report premium increases. And everybody thinks, wow, my insurance rates are going up. It must be Obama's fault. Even though you don't get health insurance through Obamacare, you get it through your job. And even though your increases have gone up a lot slower, you know, or suddenly you're paying a bigger copay and, thanks, Obama. And it's, well, no, I had nothing to do with that. We saw this international unity again over the weekend when Russia stood alone in the UN Security Council defending its actions in Crimea. And as I told President Putin yesterday, the referendum in Crimea was a clear violation of Ukrainian constitutions and international law, and it will not be recognized by the international community. Today I'm announcing a series of measures that will continue to increase the costs on Russia and on those responsible for what is happening in Ukraine. First, as authorized by the executive order I signed 2 weeks ago, we are imposing sanctions on specific individuals responsible for undermining the sovereignty, territorial integrity, and government of Ukraine. We're making it clear that there are consequences for their actions. Second, I have signed a new executive order that expands the scope of our sanctions. As an initial step, I'm authorizing sanctions on Russian officials, entities operating in the arms sector in Russia, and individuals who provide material support to senior officials of the Russian government. You know, when Trayvon Martin was first shot, I said that this could have been my son. Another way of saying that is Trayvon Martin could have been me 35 years ago.
Rock knows what it means to be a black man living in a country and a culture that is controlled by rich white people. Hillary can never know that. Hillary ain't never been called a Hillary is married to Bill, and Bill have been good to us. No, he ain't. Bill did us just like he did Monica Lewinsky. He was riding dirty. The government gives them the drugs, builds bigger prisons, passes a 3-strike law, and then wants us to sing God Bless America. No, no, no. Not God Bless America. God damn America. That's in the Bible for killing innocent people. God damn America.
Barack Obama is a radical. We should not be afraid to say that. Okay? And Barack Obama was launched from Bill and Bernadine's salon. I've been there. It became a self-evident truth to me that there's zero chance that this incredible chef did not cook many a meal for Barack Obama. Don't tell me ABC, CBS, and NBC I don't have the, that I can't posit that theory, because it's a self-evident truth. Just like it was a self-evident truth that he was with Jeremiah Wright, and just as it's a self-evident truth that when he was at Harvard, he was advocating for the worst of the worst to join the faculty. Radicals at Beirut on the Charles. And that is who's in the White House, and that's who's outside right now telling you you don't have a right to be here, and who would squelch your free speech just as easily they do at Harvard, Vassar, Yale, Wesleyan. They're a bunch of totalitarian freaks.
We will not be talked down to. We vow not to heed the words of the so-called experts who expect us to defer to their superior knowledge. They say that the business of running the country should be left to the experts. We say that we are the experts and we can run our own damn lives, thank you very much. They say trust us. And we say no, you paternalistic, arrogant fools. You trust us. This will be a battle for the soul of America, and we will win. This fight won't be easy. It's going to be ugly. It's going to be dirty. It's going to be chaotic. It'll be plenty messy. We won't all be President Obama's soldiers, as he fascistically suggested we should, and we won't be shills for either party. We won't be taken in by politicians who tell us they're going to save us, then tell us to take a leap of faith with them. We'll rely on ourselves and on the constitutional system that protects us, the greatest system ever devised by mankind. The system that guarantees our right to be free from government, not some phantom right to be taken care of by government. The system that celebrates the friction of free people making free arguments, not a forced unanimity that ends in chains. The system that builds on the individual, not the collective. What makes our country great is the individual. This isn't yes, we can. It's yes, you can. If made free to pursue your dreams, you will succeed, and you will make the world a better place. For too long, we've been made to feel that if we do what's best for ourselves and our families, we can't do what's best for the country. The truth is precisely the opposite. Freedom to act in accordance with traditional American values, on behalf of those we love, is the essence of America's greatness. That greatness doesn't come from building the Hoover Dam or the National Highway System. It comes from us, sitting with our families around the dinner table, enjoying the fruits of our labors, celebrating the future of our children. And that future will be bright, so long as we regain the confidence in ourselves that has always made America a light unto the nations. They say it's always darkest just before the dawn. Sometimes that isn't true. Sometimes it's darkest just before it goes pitch black. It's up to us whether we choose to bring the dawn or the darkness. Choose the dawn. The sun of American greatness lurks beyond the horizon. All we have to do is turn around to see it.